2,000 years ago, an alien videotaped his attempts to educate a caveman. The Prometheus and Bob tapes.
Hey, they can't with us.
My bad. I be messing up sometimes, y'all. Sorry. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Sunday in February. We host you got fit tonight here on this beautiful Wednesday night. It's a beautiful day. Probably one of the last ones we're gonna get. But we are finally back to talking about football. I was sick as a dog last week. It is great to be back with you, bro. How are you feeling?
I'm ready to go, man. I'm glad you're feeling better. I know you mentioned Wednesday morning. I saw you're dealing with a lot, so I'm glad to see you back up in some better spirits. A week later.
Yeah, man, I feel a lot better. It is nice to not be on the couch, not being able to think, smile, barely breathe. It's awful. My man Jake Jordan, my brother Jake Jordan, in the comment section. Appreciate the love and support, brother, as always. We got a great show for you guys tonight. Really dope show. Oh, shout out to my boy Robbie as well. All the love is much appreciated, my guys out there. So, we might as well go ahead and get started with Jake. I'm sorry, not Jake. I was just talking about Jake. Caveman. Before we get started on to the big topic, right? Let's just kind of recap what happened in the Pittsburgh game, right? So the Buffalo Bills defeat the Pittsburgh Steelers 38-3. Absolutely crazy game. What was your thoughts on it, bro?
We handled the game exactly the way, we all were expecting us or even hoping us to. And it was actually relieving that we were able to go out and do so. I would say that one of the biggest differences between last year and this year is the fact that, we were able to go out there and beat a team that didn't belong on the same field as us the way that you would expect us to. Last year, we had a few games where we not only showed inconsistencies, but we weren't beating them the way that you would think we should have, considering we were, Super Bowl contenders at the time. We didn't beat the Jaguars. Obviously we lost to them. We lost to the Steelers in week 1. The Patriots threw one pass against us and beat us. Those are things that happen to teams that aren't really, actual Super Bowl contenders, I guess, if you will. But, that's up for debate. It's in the past. Nevertheless, it's just relieving to know that this year, a team that steps on our field, nowhere near our skill level, nowhere near the talent level, we completely blow them out with a rookie quarterback. So it was definitely a breath of fresh air in comparison to, some of the games we saw last year. Very happy to see it.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was a fun game to watch. As you mentioned, the Steelers won game 1 last year, and it was kind of like a heartbreaker. Shout out to Coach Boom in the comment section, as always. And it was a heartbreaker, so it was tough to watch. Like, it's tough to watch Melvin Ingram just absolutely destroy your offensive line the entire game. There's nothing you can do about it. And apparently there's nothing Dayball could do about it either, because he didn't do anything about it, but that's neither here nor there. This year, they were able to get over that hump because, the Steelers, in my estimation, they don't have TJ Watt or Melvin Ingram anymore for that matter. But I think Kenny Pickett is better than Jared Roethlisberger was last year. He threw for 350. He only had one interception. So I think that the Steelers I don't think they're as bad as everybody says they are, right? I think they could be formidable opponents down the line in the sense that they might be pushing for one of those, that 6 or that 7, playoff seeding, especially considering the look of the AFC. We'll talk about that a little bit later in division breakdown. But it was good to get the W and to get it in a convincing win. Like, what does it mean that the Bills keep getting these dominant wins versus, playing down to their competition?
It means a lot. As I touched on, it just feels good to go out there and see a victory against a team that doesn't belong in our field be so simple. But one thing that I thought, that crossed my mind during this game, and I really felt like a lot more people should have been talking about this, and I really saw a note chatter about it. Maybe it's just me being a semi-old man or a Karen or being petty, overthinking, whatever you want to call me. But I thought our starters were out on the field a little bit longer than they probably should have. We've already been plagued with injuries throughout the first 5 weeks. Von Miller went down earlier in that game. Granted, it was just a cramp, but still, we've had some scares throughout the season. We've already lost Micah Hyde. Jordan Phillips has been dealing with injuries. The last thing we need is to lose, one of our other star players. I mean, we were already down 8 starters going to the game as is. We're up 30 plus points on this team, and we see Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs, the whole crew just trotting out there as if it means anything anymore. At the start of the first drive of the fourth quarter, our first team starter is still trotting out there. I was a little uneasy about that because it doesn't really have to be obviously a competitive football game for somebody to land the wrong way, for somebody to get tackled in an awkward fashion. It just really kind of irked me the wrong way. No harm, no foul, but it's just something that, God forbid if one of our players went down in that situation, so much is different. I mean, we're sitting here thinking, why in God's name are they in the game? Now we're screwed for, who knows how long this player is out for. It's just, it was very nonsensical. And I feel like it wasn't, thought about by anybody.
No, I legit have the text messages to prove it. I agree with you because, when I was at the game, I ended up having to sit in a different section than my little brothers. So they were there with me. And so after the third quarter, I want to say, the Steelers had the ball. And I was like, all right, y'all ready to go? And they were like, no, why? I was like, because they about to put the bench in, or they about to put, they about to take the starters out. And they was like, no, let's wait. And then they brought Josh back all onto the field. And I was like, okay, all right, I guess I'll stay then. And then Josh does an RPO, he finds Diggs over the middle, he runs like 45 yards, and I'm getting up and I'm screaming again. And then what happened? I think he scored a touchdown. Yep, yeah, it was the James Cook score. Yep, thank you. And then I'm like, okay, now they're definitely about to put the starters up. And they finally did there in the fourth quarter. So I agree with you. I think they could have, took them out a little earlier.
Yeah, I mean, it just, like I said, it rubbed me the wrong way. It's something, a no harm, no foul type of incident, but it very easily could have gone, in a very poor fashion, especially considering the track record we've had with injuries up to this point. The last thing we needed was, who knows, Von Miller to go down with a silly injury, for Gabe Davis to re-injure his ankle. Who knows? It's just something that I was thinking about as I watched them walk back out there.
Don't need any of that. And I actually agree with you. We probably will get called old and grumpy or something, but
Yeah.
What's a blowout? It's a blowout, and that's why when they like say stats about, they're first in points per game and all this other stuff, it's like, but are they though? Let's talk about points per game, and then when you say per game, you gotta take away the fact that the Bills haven't played 3 whole quarters this season because they were blowing people out, so yeah, I don't really, definitely need to consider that when you say that the Chiefs have the most points per game in the league. Do they though? But anyway, speaking of those Chiefs, we got Josh Allen versus Patrick Mahomes this coming in week 6. And it's I mean, hey, apparently, to the masses, we just came off of one of, if not the greatest game of all time in the AFC Championship game between these quarterbacks. What do you think about it?
I almost feel like we're going to be expecting this high-flying shootout with all these fireworks, and it's going to be, a low-scoring defensive affair. I wouldn't be shocked if that ended up being the case, but I feel like it is a little ridiculous to expect the game to be anywhere near the excitement level of the last one, and I feel like that's of course how the media is going to make it out to seem. But it's still going to be a great game. We're still going to see 2 of the best quarterbacks, the top 2 quarterbacks, in my opinion, duking it out in a very, very important regular season game. It might not be a divisional round playoff game, but this is going to be very, very impactful for the number 1 seed later down the stretch. I think I saw some stat that said whoever wins this upcoming matchup, I don't know if this was like a real stat or if this was actually calculated, but it was a tweet nonetheless. And it said like the winner of this upcoming game between the Bills and the Chiefs has like a 30 to 38% better chance to win the number 1 seed. So this is a big game with huge implications, and it's really going to test what we're made of because the Chiefs are playing some good ass football at the moment, and as are we. So hopefully we're able to get healthy and, we're able to see what we weren't able to see in the divisional round game with defensive, pass rushers in the face of Patrick Mahomes actually bringing him down. That's what I'm really looking forward to seeing in this game.
All right, not to deviate too much from the whole Bills Chiefs versus Josh thing, because I do want to talk about that some more. But what's going on with the quarterback play around the league? You look at the NFC. Tom Brady's not playing well. Aaron Rodgers isn't playing well. I mean, those are really the only two quarterbacks we uber respect in the NFC. The AFC, Josh Allen's playing out of his mind. Patrick Mahomes is playing really well. Lamar Jackson is playing really well. Then after that, Justin Herbert isn't anything special. Joe Herbert is not playing well. These guys who they all consider top five and top 10 and stuff, they're not playing like it. What's changed?
I don't know, honestly. I think a lot of it has to do with probably the adjustments that some of these teams have gone through during the offseason. Teams that we mentioned, the Chargers, I know that Justin Herbert's been dealing with injury. Keenan Allen's not out there on the field. Brandon Staley is not necessarily a big blessing to that team at the moment. A team like, for example, who else can we throw out there? I'm drawing blanks as to any team in the NFL right now. The Chiefs, the Packers. Let's talk about the Packers. They're a perfect example. They lose Devontae Adams. Aaron Rodgers is throwing to not the greatest group of guys, but nevertheless, he has struggled. So maybe that adjustment has a lot to do with it. Tom Brady's going through some personal issues. He hasn't had Chris Godwin for a number of weeks. That maybe is contributing to Tom Brady, but there seems to be at least one contributing factor to any quarterback that you may point to as to why they're struggling. But I think a lot has to do with, depending on who we're talking about, some of the big changes that were taken during the offseason. And we're seeing the effects of that. Even though it feels like we've watched a lot more than 5 weeks of football, it has only been 5 weeks of football at the same time.
It does feel like we watched more than 5 weeks because, I mean, you could honestly say that teams haven't even shown you who they are yet. It's only 5 weeks. There's a whole nother 12 weeks to go. But I feel like we know who everybody is at this point. No, like I mean, the good teams are the good teams. I guess you always got to look out for teams like the Chargers or the Raiders who may run off like 5 or 6 games or something, and all of a sudden it looks brand new. So I guess you can look at it that way. But getting back to this Bills Chiefs game, the Bills offense went wild on the Chiefs defense last year in both the playoffs and the regular season. Of course, the Chiefs were able to make something happen in the playoffs that they couldn't make happen in the regular season. But I mean, it's pretty much the same situation. You could say the Bills have the better offense, or or similar offense, whichever one you want to consider better. But the Bills have the much better defense. So what changes going into this game that the Bills can bank on to help them win this time around?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is the defensive front that we have differently. I mean, that's going to be the story of this game. I think that's going to be the main headline. Forget the Josh versus Mahomes. I'm looking at the defensive front against Mahomes. The offensive line for the Chiefs last week struggled against the Raiders pass rush. Max Crosby, Chandler Jones were in the face of Mahomes early and often in that game. Eventually, adjustments were made, and Patrick Mahomes was able to move the ball down the field, and they completed that comeback, and we all kind of felt it coming. But nevertheless, this is going to be the time where that defensive front makes its money. This is why we paid Von Miller, is to go after a guy like Mahomes, bring him to the ground. This is why Jordan Phillips is going to have to play out of his mind alongside Von Miller. We brought these guys in for this game, for this matchup. If we're being completely honest, we know who the juggernaut is in this conference, especially at this point. It might have been up in the air around preseason, but right now it's the Chiefs. Once again, that's who we're going to have to go up and beat. And now it's the defensive front's job to really finish it off, because I'm not worried about the offense putting up points. I'm not worried about really anything other than Patrick Mahomes getting brought to the ground. And that's the best way to stop him, is, throwing as much pressure at him as possible. So that's really the big difference between last year's game and this game.
That's a great point. And speaking to that though a little bit, you mentioned how the Bills have the better defense, and so you're not as worried about the defense or the offense. You're not as worried about the offense as you are the defense, but the defense is still good, right? Could you make an argument for that reason that Patrick Mahomes deserved the MVP more than Josh Allen this year so far?
Man, I don't know. I think the MVP conversation at this point is so tough to have. I mean, it's only been, like we were saying, it's only been 5 weeks, right? So at any point this year, we could see a complete fall off. Russell Wilson, what was it, 2020? I think I don't know how many weeks it was, maybe for 5 or 6 weeks, Russell Wilson was playing
Yeah.
otherworldly. Like he was a masterclass, heads above everyone else in the NFL. And then, by the mid portion to the later end of it, he completely fell off and didn't even get a vote. So it's so hard, like I said, to have this conversation right now. But there are of course the names thrown out there. I think Mahomes, Josh, Lamar, those are three names that are probably at the top of the conversation right now. I mean, otherwise, it's like you mentioned, kind of a big drop off. I would say Jalen Hurts maybe deserves to be in there, but
What
at the
about what
moment, it's
about
those three guys.
what about Michael Parsons?
I would say, he would deserve it if I feel like he's been playing injured. Well, I mean, I know he's been playing injured, so I feel like his impact hasn't been um, as formidable as it needs to be in the MVP conversation. But he's easily in the Defensive Player of the Year conversation. I mean,
Fair
he
enough.
should be in the lead for that without question.
Fair enough. All right, let's get into the meat and potatoes of this thing. I'm sorry, guys. My allergies just decided to start going nuts as soon as the stream started, so it's really bothering me. But let's go ahead and get to meat and potatoes of this stream, I guess you could say. All right, we're going to start with some division breakdowns, and of course, we're starting with the AFC East, the home of the Buffalo Bills. Looking at the breakdown of the AFC East, it is Buffalo in first place. It is the New York Jets in second place, ladies and gentlemen. Who predicted that? I mean, I predicted it, but whatever. Then we got the Miami Dolphins in third and the New England Patriots in fourth. Okay, man, is this something that is sustainable, or do you think this is like a 5-week fluke?
Oh man, it's really hard because I think obviously the Dolphins would probably be in second had Tua stayed healthy. Even if Teddy finishes that game last week, they probably beat the Jets. And I think if Tua stays healthy in the game against the Bengals, they probably beat the Bengals too. So I think they're a team that has been bitten by the injury bug as well at the most important position in the game, which has really brought them down. So assuming that Teddy is able to come back, maybe if not this week, then the week after, and then eventually Tua will make his way back. I could see the Dolphins creeping into that second place spot. But the Patriots are not going to roll down and die. I know everybody thinks they're just going to roll over, fall flat on their face, but they're not going to. Somehow Bailey Zappi is stepping in there, and he's not doing terrible. He's doing enough of a job for them to be competitive. I mean, they went up against the Detroit Lions, who are the Lions, let's be honest, but they were still averaging 36 points per game. And Bailey Zappi, he didn't do very much, but he's starting under center, and he's able to do enough to get the job done. The run game runs over Detroit, and they hold the highest scoring offense in football, or one of them at least, to 0 points. So I can see the Patriots making a later run, similar to how they did last year when they broke 7 wins off out of nowhere. I don't think it'll be to that extent, but I will not count out the Patriots somehow sneaking up into the second place conversation for the AFC.
What does this division look like at the end of the season?
I'm going to say it will be probably. Oh man, it really depends on Tua's health, but I'm going to say it's going to go Buffalo, Miami, New England, and then the Jets still in last. They still think.
Oh, okay. So you don't got no faith in the Jets?
I don't know if it's not faith, but man, I'm just not buying. I'm just not buying the fact that the Patriots are just going to die all year. It's more about the Patriots than the Jets.
All right. Fair enough. Now we're going to get to the fun division that we all thought was going to be one of the best divisions in NFL history. Turns out to be actually one of the worst divisions in the NFL this year. It's just, maybe not the worst, but it's not special. It's nothing special about it. You got the Chiefs at 4-1. They are leading, of course, in second place. I believe tie for second place, if I'm not mistaken, is the Chargers and the Raiders. And then, of course, in fourth place.
Broncos are in second. The Raiders are in fourth.
Broncos in second, Chargers in third, Raiders in fourth.
I think Chargers in second, Broncos in third, and Raiders in fourth. Either way, the Raiders and the Broncos and the Chargers are both.
Okay, here we go. So we got the Chiefs at 4-1. We got the Chargers in second place at 3-2. We got the Broncos in third place at 2-3. And we got the Raiders in fourth place at 1-4. The Chargers probably should be.
Oh yeah, that's right.
2-3 because the Browns kicker missed the field goal.
Yep.
And honestly, the Chiefs should be 3-2. and the Raiders should also be 2-3. But Devontae Adams and Hunter Renfrow are, bumping into each other on 4th and 1, where you're throwing a bomb down the field. Also, you throwing that bomb down the field when you are literally in a position to kick a field goal, win the game, and walk off. Why are you trying to score a touchdown right there? You trying to give Pat Mahomes more time? Like, what the hell? Like, has nobody learned? Like, I don't get that. All right, I'm sorry. Okay, man, tell me about the AFC West, because I'm about to blow a gasket. Like, I don't get that.
I don't know, man. I think the AFC West, just kind of touching on, the point I made earlier. I think these are 4 teams that are trying to figure things out. They went through a lot of offseason changes, and they're still trying to sort their shit out. They're trying to find their identity, and they're trying to get on the same page. The Kansas City Chiefs are one of the 4 teams that probably went through the least amount of adjustments. And we're obviously seeing the effects of that. They're able to move the ball downfield. They have the best quarterback in the division without question. So I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that they're miles ahead of everybody else, it appears. But the Chargers, I don't even know what's going on with the Chargers, man. They're injury, they're dealing with injuries, of course, but at the same time, you would still like to think that Justin Herbert's able to carry them to victory more often than not. You'd also like to think that defense, despite losing Joey Bosa, still having Khalil Mack, J.C. Jackson's back there, Derwin James is still healthy. He's able to be a little bit better than they've been, but they haven't been. Long story short, I think there's and then for the Raiders and the Broncos, of course, they've went through a lot. The Raiders brought in Josh McDaniels, who was probably one of the most questionable coaching hires of the offseason. They brought in Devontae Adams, which even though him and Derek Carr were college teammates, it's still the NFL, still a lot of things to get on the same page with. Darren Waller's dealing with injury. And then the Broncos, of course, brought in Russell Wilson, who's not looking too hot at the moment. So the AFC West went from, like you mentioned, being one of the most hyped up, I will say, divisions in football to probably the most disappointing and very concerning to a degree as well.
Extremely concerning, because when you consider what the Raiders, the Broncos, the Chargers did to get some of those players, if you aren't even going to reap the benefits in terms of competing for a Super Bowl, then you might have just blown your future on a year that is going to mean nothing ultimately. So, hey, we'll see what happens. Okay, man, what does the rankings look like to end the season in the AFC West?
So Chiefs won. I don't think anybody's going to come back and dethrone them. Probably Chargers 2, just because they have a leg up on the Broncos and the Raiders. I'm going to go Raiders 3, and then Broncos 4. I think the Raiders are I don't think they've lost a game by more than one possession all season. Don't quote me on that, but they've all been very close. A couple of weeks ago, Darren Waller dropped a couple of passes that probably would have had them beating the Titans. I think it was the Titans. And then this past week against the Chiefs, they had a 17-point lead. They blew it, but then had a chance at the end of the game to move down the field and kick a game-winning field goal with probably the second-best kicker in the league, and they blow that too. So, 2 very close games that could have this team at 3-2 instead of 1-4. It's a drastic difference. I think they will eventually figure it out. Josh Jacobs is running like, Marshawn Lynch, Derrick Henry. This guy's rumbling and tumbling over the last 2 weeks. So that seems to be the identity they're shooting for, a team that is going to be run heavy, taking advantage with shots over the middle, shots down the field with Adams on the play action. And, it's going to benefit the Raiders down the road as long as their defense can really stiffen up, and that pass rush really looked good. So I'm kind of hoping that the Raiders are able to pick their shit up and pick their stuff up and end up maybe even taking second place in the division. Who knows?
I'm not mad at that. I think it's fair to say that this is the correct order of how these teams have looked, throughout the season thus far. The Chiefs have looked the best in the West. Chargers have looked the next best. Not great, but they've looked the next best. The Raiders have looked not bad, but their record is bad. And the Broncos just haven't looked good at all. It's been actually quite pathetic, honestly. It's just not been good. All right, next up, we got the infamous AFC North. Of course, I mean, a lot of people said the AFC North was going to be tight this year, or not necessarily tight, but they said it was going to be tough. And I wasn't one of those people, just because I simply just didn't believe it. But as of right now, we got Pretty much what I expected. No, actually, I'm lying. I put the Steelers higher. I thought the Steelers would be better, but of course, with 5 weeks in, so we'll see what happens. But the Raiders are in first place at 3-2. Uh, the Browns are in second place at 2-3. The Bengals are in third place at 2-3, and the Steelers are in fourth place at 1-4. The Bengals just had an opportunity to beat the Ravens, couldn't do it, so now they sit at third place in the division.
Were you done with your statement? I couldn't tell.
Oh yeah, my bad. I wanted to get your thoughts on the AFC North. That's my fault. I should have phrased the question.
Your mic unplugged, I think. But anyway, the AFC North. So this is a division, like you said, that a lot of people expected to be close once again. Very competitive with teams that are going to be tough to beat. And the Bengals, we talked about it all offseason. Nobody really believed in the Bengals as far as the Bills fan base goes, and us too, especially. We really were not high on their Super Bowl run. It was a Cinderella experience, if you will. And now we're seeing the difference between that Bengals team and the Bengals team that we kind of expected to see. And it's tough. I mean, they upgraded their offensive line. It's not been good. Jamar Chase is like not running down the field the same way he was prior. I think a lot of it has to do with coaching, if I'm being perfectly honest, but that's beside the point. They haven't looked good, long story short. And then we have the Browns, who I was saying this offseason could actually be a sneaky 7th seed this season, just because their schedule is extremely easy. Nick Chubb is going to be dominant, just like he always is. Jacoby Brissett is not terrible. They are extremely close to being, what are they, 2-3 right now? 2-3 right now. They're very close to being, what? Probably, 5-0 for being honest. Their losses go to the Jets, who, they lost to on a miracle onside kick recovery that the Jets had. They lost to the Falcons by 3 without Myles Garrett. I couldn't believe they lost that game. And then this past week against the Chargers, they missed a game-winning field goal. I mean, they are, very, very close to being a 5-0 team in the AFC North, right next to the Philadelphia Eagles for the only undefeated team left in the league. And they sit at 2-3. So, you'd like to think that, as time progresses and, things start to get a little bit more comfortable for Jacoby Brissett, that this team is going to get tougher to beat. And by week 13, when Deshaun Watson comes back, maybe that'll bode well for them. Maybe it won't. Who knows? Maybe Deshaun Watson's going to come out and be completely rusty, and who knows, maybe even be worse than Brissett. But nevertheless, this Browns team is good. And the AFC North is, they're dealing with that, and everybody in their way is dealing with it, the Nick Chubb punishment. And then as far as the Steelers go, I wrote the Steelers off before the season even started. I didn't have a single lick of faith in them whatsoever. So I have them finishing 4th without question. And then we got the Ravens left, who probably are also extremely close to being a 5-0 team. They blew 2 humongous leads to good football teams, granted, but they probably should have beat us if they didn't completely shut down in the second half. Well, if our defense didn't shut them down, I will say. And then they blew a lead to the Dolphins. So another team that, they're having some early season wrinkles, but I think they will iron them out as the season progresses, and they're, always going to be a tough team to take down.
Yeah, I think this is. I'm sorry.
Can't hear you. Ravens. I don't know why.
Can you hear me?
Plugging back in.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
No, I can't. I saw your mouth.
Oh man, hold on. All right, I'm sorry.
Anyway,
guys.
I'll keep going. Just say something just keep saying something. But yeah, like I said, I wrote the Steelers off before the season even started. I had them going like 5-12 or something. Didn't have any faith in them. The quarterback situation's a mess. Their defense isn't good, and now without T.J. Watt, they really lost any opportunity to be a team above 500. Like I said, the Browns, I could see them sneaking up, and the Ravens and the Bengals, of course, too. So my final standing prediction for the AFC North probably goes as follows: the Ravens. I'm going to put the Browns in second. Then I'm going to put the Bengals in third and the Steelers in fourth. I think that is probably what I had. No, I think I had Bengals second and Browns third. I don't remember, but I think that would be my top.
Are your headphones plugged in?
I don't know. I can't hear you. Oh, shit. Hold on. Oh, yeah. Yeah, they are. Damn it.
I was like, my StreamYard says mine is working. All right. So I got the Ravens first, the Browns second, Bengals third, Steelers fourth. Hey, I'm disappointed in the Steelers. I thought the Steelers was going to be better. I agree. I think I have the Ravens first. Browns Well, second. I have the Steelers third, and I might have the Bengals fourth. I just don't believe in the Bengals. I told you guys it was Joe Burrow's talent, his top five talent, 60 of it was his defense. I'm sorry, 50% of it was his defense. 60% of Joe Burrow's defense is Jamar Chase. The reason the Bengals went to the Super Bowl was because of their defense and then Jamar Chase. Like Jamar Chase is a cheat code. And Joe Burrow's not bad, but this whole top five quarterback thing is where I kind of draw the line. Like, we have to be realistic about this. And I'm not going for it. I'm not putting Joe Burrow as a top five quarterback. I'm not. Excuse me. I don't know. This allergies is messing me up. I'm not putting Justin Herbert as a top five quarterback either, for that matter. So that's just where I stand on it. I've been consistent in this all year. They've just been proving me right in terms of their play so far. But okay, man, now that you're back, I'm going to ask you, what are the chances? So you got the Browns in second place. What are the chances that Deshaun Watson could return in week 13 and then host a playoff game in January in Cleveland with Deshaun Watson under center?
I think the likelihood is it's higher than people would like to think it is, but I don't think it's high enough for me to think it's going to happen. I think the Ravens by that point will have a chokehold on the division, so I'm not thinking that they'll end up taking home a home playoff game. But Deshaun, I feel like the Deshaun Watson returning experiment is either going to go so well that it like thrust them into Super Bowl contention, or it's going to go so poorly he's going to look terrible. The rust is going to show, and they're suddenly going to plummet and lose the first like 3 or 4 games that he returns. Like, I feel like there's no in between with Deshaun Watson returning, and honestly, there's not much time in between the postseason and when Watson returns from suspension. So he's not going to have that much time to get acclimated after missing a year and a half of football. In an offense that's been playing without him. So that could easily go poorly, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, he legit has 4 or 5 weeks, depending on when their bye week is, to get prepared for the season, or for the postseason rather. Yeah. And I have to agree with you. I agree. It's either going to go really, really well, or it's going to go really, really, really poorly. I might be rooting for the latter, or just because they're in the AFC and I don't like AFC teams. Shout out to my guy Vince Taylor. Oh, guys, I'm sure I've mentioned this, but if you guys didn't know, Vince Taylor is back. His podcast is on none other than Buffalo Fanbase, so go check that out. Bite Size Buffalo with my guy Vince Taylor. He is back in the industry. Couldn't be happier to have him back. So yes, and also. Okay, bet. So next up, we got the AFC South. Now, this division is awful, man. We have the Titans leading the pack at 3-2. We have the Colts second place at 2-1. We have the Jaguars in third place at 2-3. We have the Texans in fourth place at 1-3-1. What are your thoughts on the AFC West so far, K-Man?
Oh man, I mean it's a train wreck. I mean, who would have thought, right? The Titans don't look great. Nobody really expected them to look great. The Colts are another dumpster fire. They, it looks like all 4 tires are popped, and they're trying their best to just keep on chugging on the metal part of the wheel, if you will. So I mean they're really struggling, and then of course we have the Jags, who, at least I was fooled for the first few weeks, looking like a pretty damn good AFC South team. In the last 2 weeks, they have really fizzled out. So who knows what they're all about? I really don't know how to feel about the Jaguars at the moment. And then we have the Texans, who did they just beat? They just beat somebody this week, didn't they? Maybe they didn't. I don't remember. But nevertheless,
hold on, I got you.
The Texans, they haven't looked the worst, but I would still say they're one of the worst teams in the league, and that was expected. But
they just beat the Jaguars.
That's right. They beat the Jaguars. Yeah, exactly. That's my point. So, the AFC South is a dumpster fire. It's the easiest way to put it, but I don't think anybody expected anything different. The most shocking thing is the Colts being just an utter mess and the Jaguars showing some sort of promise, right?
Yeah, I mean, I 100% agree, but this is a very, very great point by Vince Taylor. He says all they had to do was upgrade from Wentz, and they somehow got worse with Matt Ryan, former MVP, former Super Bowl content. Like, what happened there? Like, is Matt Ryan just not good anymore, or the Colts like? Is there an Andrew Luck curse?
I think there's a lot of things that go into it. There's an offensive line in front of him that is not playing as good as you would have thought it was supposed to going to the season. Matt Ryan's nowhere near as mobile as Carson Wentz is. He's 37 years old. The second pressure gets anywhere near him, he's chucking the ball away. The dude is paranoid, petrified out of his mind that he's going to get hit from his blind side. So I think that's very, very mental for Matt Ryan at the moment. And considering the circumstances, I don't think he's been that bad. He's just not in a good spot. And I think he's mentally screwed up. On top of the fact that the way the wide receiver room is built, there's really not many playmakers that you can get the ball to in space, and they're going to make something happen after the catch. It's Michael Pittman, Alec Pierce, more so, bigger bodied receivers, more physical. They're not going to, grab the ball on a screen like a Deebo Samuel would, or even a Diggs or Cooper Kupp. These guys are very good after the catch. They don't really have a guy like that. And when your quarterback is 37 years old and isn't great at, making a play after his first read and having to extend the play, that doesn't bode well. And then when they get hurt, Matt Ryan's throwing the plumbers, and behind an offensive line throwing the plumbers, that's not going to go well either. So this team, there are a lot of there's a lot of holes and a lot of issues that you could have kind of seen coming, just based on the way they're built. But the offensive line issues has been the biggest problem for them, and I think that's why Matt Ryan's struggling as much as he is. So I wouldn't even blame him, if I'm being honest.
Fair enough. I mean, I was talking about this with Ruben. A guy like Josh Allen makes your offensive line look a lot better, because when you have a stationary quarterback and your right guard gets beat bad and the defensive tackle is running head full steam and he sacks your quarterback, or if your right tackle gets beat and the defensive end is now sacking your quarterback, it looks a lot worse than when Josh Allen throws a defensive tackle off of him, looks at him, and then throws a 47-yard bomb down the field. Nobody's thinking like, oh, the right tackle got beat on that play, you bum. That doesn't happen on those plays. So, a mobile quarterback can sometimes make you look better in that regard. AFC South, what does this look like in week 17, K-Man?
Oh, man. I wish I had an answer for you. I think my guess is as good as yours, but I'm going to go with, the Colts. I don't think the Colts are below 500, are they? I think they're 2-1 by some God-given miracle. The Jaguars are probably, are they 3-2 or 2-3 now? I gotta.
If they're 2-3.
They're 2-3. Do you have it pulled up?
Yep.
Wow, they're 2-3. The Titans are probably 2-3 too, and the Titans. Honestly, I'm gonna go off on a whim and say, the Colts take it. Maybe they strike a rhythm. The offensive line starts to play better. JT comes back, he's healthier, and then Matt Ryan starts to get on the same page. That defense hasn't been that bad this season, so their defense is already doing their job. So I'm going to say they strike a rhythm on offense, and the Colts end up taking it home by a slim margin. So I'm going to give them first. I'm going to give the Jags second. I can't imagine the spell of just piss poor football by Trevor Lawrence is going to remain. So I'm going to put them in second, Titans in third, and our Texans in fourth.
All right, there you have it, guys. That is Caveman's AFC division breakdown. We'll probably do the NFC next week. But I think that most people would probably agree with this entire list. AFC, the Bills winning, you got the Chiefs winning in the West, you got the Ravens winning in the North, and the Colts winning in the South. Looking at it, people might believe in the Titans a little bit because Derrick Henry is starting to run a little bit better now. But I mean, the Colts really just have the most complete team in that division, which isn't saying much, but they do. And Yeah, man, that division just doesn't look as good as we thought it was. But speaking of not looking as good as we thought they would, we have our first NFL head coach firing, guys. Matt Rule from the Carolina Panthers has been fired, fired by the Carolina Panthers, obviously. Um, After he fired his offensive coordinator, Joe Brady, last season as the scapegoat, they thought he could get it done. They brought in Sam Darnold's fellow 2013 draft class, draft mate, whatever you want to call it, um, in Baker Mayfield, the number one overall pick, and he has not looked like said number one overall pick. Sam Darnold hasn't looked like said number four overall pick either. So, man, a lot of turmoil going on over there in Carolina, where we happen to get our winning formula from.
Yeah, yeah, I know, right? I had this conversation with Glenn Goodberry last night. We were talking about just the fact that there's a lot of chemistry between the Bills and the Panthers. It's kind of gone now. We've kind of moved on from that branch in our lives here between the Buffalo Bills and the Carolina Panthers. But yeah, I mean, a lot of our team, a lot of the rebuilding pieces that we had a part of this roster were from that franchise because of the familiarity we had with them, of course, with Sean McDermott and everything. But Matt Rule being fired is nothing but a good thing. They have some light at the end of the tunnel now. I think he was like 1 in 20 something as far as a win loss goes when the opposing team scores more than 17 points. It's got to be one of the worst things, one of the worst stats I've ever read
Oh Lord,
for a head
that's
coach. So
terrible.
I mean 17 points per game in the NFL is that's bottom of the barrel. And I mean that is you have to try not to score 17 points nowadays. And any team that was putting that up is taking them down. I mean that's brutal. So it's about time that he's gone. They also fired the defensive coordinator, which I didn't think was necessary. I didn't think their defense was really a problem. I think their offensive coordinator should have been the coordinator out the door first if they're going to fire one. But yeah, I mean, now they have PJ Walker under center with Baker dealing with a foot injury. This team should be going into a full blown rebuild. They really have no choice. There's a lot of pieces there that they can build with, but there's also some talent on that roster that would be more beneficial to them um, if it was a draft, if they were a draft pick. So I'm
Dude,
looking for a rebuild with this Panthers franchise, and they're one of those teams that have tried the bridge quarterback experiment one too many years. So definitely going to reap the benefits of a rebuild once they get going.
I thought the Panthers were next up. I really did.
Yeah.
Excuse me, I really, excuse me. I thought the Panthers was next up. I remember Jeremy Chin and talking about Brian Burns and talking about all these guys like, oh, the Panthers got this, they got that, they got Stephon Gilmore, they got Sam Darnold. He was thrown to the Wolves in New York. He's not that bad of a quarterback. He's gonna do better in an offensive system where he has Matt Rule and Joe Brady, and all that sounds ridiculous now. But back then, it sounded like it made sense. And
Yep.
they have been extremely disappointing. And now they have lost. I don't even know what happened to Sam Darnold. And now they've lost an offensive coordinator, a head coach, and now a defensive coordinator, as you're saying. So, hey, Carolina is not doing well, but none of our concern. Who is the next head coach that will be fired in the NFL game, man?
Oh my God. I mean, this will be the first of what I think will be many firings. I don't know if one of the two guys, Matt Hackett or Josh McDaniels, I'm having a really hard time believing that both of them make it through the whole season. I don't know if either of them will be the next coach fired, but the way things are going for both of these teams, there's no chance they both make it through the whole year. There's just none. The Raiders are 1-4 when they shouldn't be. The Broncos are terrible. They're looking horrible, terrible. Nate Hackett's not doing them any favors. I think Josh McDaniels has, despite a worse record, I think he's got that team a little bit more in order than Nate Hackett has his. I just don't think either of them can make it through. I think Ron Rivera should be in consideration for a possible head coaching firing. I think he's got a lot of merit in this league, but his better days are coming to an end. I think he had one of the better defenses in 2020. But outside of that, the team really hasn't been great under his leadership. So I think he should be on the radar. Frank Reich should be on the radar with the way things are going with the Colts. There's a plethora of coaches that you can rip through right now that, have one reason or another to be fired.
If you look at the Raiders and you turn off the score and you like shut down the little scoreboard so you can't see their record,
Yeah.
I think you say, oh, the Raiders are a pretty good team. Right? They make plays, they can play defense, they can throw the long ball, they can, they're explosive, blah, 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 blah. They just can't win games. They can't finish the close games. They can't do this, they can't do that. And, we see that. When I look at the Broncos and Nathaniel Hackett is doing, I'm like, yo, what the hell is this? Like, yo,
Yeah.
What am I watching? You got Cortland Sutton, you got Jerry Jeudy, you got Melvin Gordon, you got all these weapons, and then you have Russell Wilson. Y'all can't score points. What's happening? What's going on? Like, is that air too thin for y'all or something? Like, what's going on here? So I think if it was one of those guys, one of those first year guys that was to get fired, I wouldn't fire McDaniels just yet. I'd give him a little bit more time. But Hackett, hey, something got to give, bro. You got to, hey, something got to give. You got to go with something. Apparently, the Broncos got new ownership too. So, hey, they tried to keep up with the Joneses or the KFCs and the LA Chargers and and I don't know, man. It's not looking like it's working out too well. But did you have your play loaded up in the docket?
I do.
All right, you want to throw on Caveman's play of the week for us?
Yeah, the play of the week that I chose was actually we're just talking about the Raiders. It's from the Raiders. Derek Carr's touchdown pass on Monday Night Football to the second one to Devonta Adams. I thought this throw and catch was ridiculous considering the spot that they were in as well. A lot of pressure on their shoulders. They were just blowing a comeback. They needed points to stay in the game, and it was a big one, and I thought it was worthy of the play of the week. Oh, shit, that's the wrong one. Hold on. Where did I upload it to? Oh, I probably put it in the wrong thing, didn't I?
Oh,
I probably
man.
put it in the wrong.
Do you still have it?
Yeah, I do. I can upload it real quick.
All right, so if you upload that, then we can go ahead and play it in a second. I think I have mine uploaded, so I'll go ahead and get to my play of the week.
Damn.
So, I mean, people know my play of the week. Actually, yours just uploaded, so go ahead.
All right.
Third. Carr, Adams, downfield. He's got it. Touchdown. Las Vegas.
I couldn't believe my eyes when I saw that shit. Derek Carr's dropping back. It doesn't even get his feet set. He's like sprinting forward and just he just throws it. Like there was no feet setting. He didn't cock his arm back. He's literally just like, it looks like he's running,
Yeah.
and he's just throwing the ball mid stride. It's ridiculous that he's able to put it with such precise accuracy right in the breadbasket where Devonta Adams, his two Chiefs, breathing down his neck, and he comes down with the grab. Like I said, in a very big spot, considering the fact that they were blowing a lead actively. I thought that was the best throw and catch of the week, in my opinion. Well, aside from one, I'm sure you're going to choose.
No, man. I agree, bro. I was watching that live, and I gotta say, like when I was watching Derek Carr like step into the pocket, and I saw him launch the ball. My natural instinct when I see Derek Carr throw a deep ball is, oh my god, bro! Like,
respect that man.
No, but I mean, I do. But it was in that moment. This the Chiefs. Something fluky always happened in the Chiefs game, right? So I was like, oh my god, bro! And when I saw, bro, it dropped right in the breadbasket between the numbers, bro. It was like, well, it was a 1 and a 7. I was like, yo, that is a beautiful throw, and I couldn't believe he made it. So I mean, that was a hell of a throw, and that was a great pick by you. So for my play of the week, I mean, it was the other really, 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 really long throw of the weekend, and I'm sure you guys are very familiar with this one. I I wanted to show you guys the Josh Allen angle, because so I was at the game. Oh my God, please, can I set the scene for you guys? Guys, this was the crazy. All right, so all right, we at the game, right? We are in Kaleida Health Red Cross Blue Shield Stadium, Highmark Stadium, Kaleida Health. we are at Highmark Field, right? Man, it took us about 20 minutes to get in the gate. We find our seats. We go to our seats, and the national anthem is singing. The ladies on the field, she's singing so beautifully. It's a beautiful day out. You're looking at the just the air, just the fandom around the stadium, right? And you take your hat off, and you're crying because you're proud to be an American and all this other crap, right? And the freaking the airplanes is flying over, it's fireworks, boom, 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 boom. Right now the game's starting, you amp, right? You hype, and all of a sudden Taiwan Jones drops the effing football.
Oh my God,
bro! The whole energy in the stadium shifted, bro. When he dropped the football, and then what was worse was he was about to cut the corner, and there was mad space. It would have been a touchdown if he was able to cut this corner, and gets chopped down at the 2-yard line. All right, you know what? It's fine. We got Josh Allen. We're gonna go. We're just gonna go 98 yards. And march down the field. Right. First throw, incompletion. All right, man. Whatever. It's cool. Second down, you run with Devin Singletary under center. And I'm like, yo, what the hell? On our own 2-yard line with Josh Allen? Why are you doing this, right? So now I'm pissed. And I'm like, yo, we just wasted this whole effing drive. Blah, 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 blah. Yo, bro, I'm tight. And then yo, I swear, all you saw was my big ass in the stands, jumping up and down, punching the air, going crazy. It was absolutely nuts. That was a spectacular game. I've now been to 2 Bills games, and they have blown out the people that they have played in both games. That would be the Titans, and that would be the Steelers game. So I'm really happy. Yeah. So I gotta go to games so that we can get those blowouts now. But I'm gonna do my first question, and then you want to alternate, or you want me to do my first 2?
You do your first 2.
All right, cool. So my question for K-Man, my first question for K-Man is, this is kind of was Seattle right to choose Pete Carroll over Russell Wilson?
Oh man, I don't know.
Let me set this for you. Geno Smith is top in the NFL in passer rating right now. Russell Wilson is not. Not even close.
If you would have told me that the Seattle Seahawks would be one of the highest scoring teams in the NFL with Geno Smith playing like a top 5 quarterback the first 5 weeks of the season, I want to say I'd call you crazy, but just because of the way last season went, I would have just had in the back of my mind, like, why would that actually happen? Like, why wouldn't that happen? That's just such an NFL thing to happen. And here we are. The reality is right in front of us. And Geno Smith is playing out of his mind, making off-platform throws. He's making Tyler Lockett look like an even better deep threat than Russell Wilson did. I mean, it's remarkable. It truly is. I mean, man, is Russell Wilson actually washed? That's the question, man. I don't know. I refuse to believe that this guy went from a top 7, top 6, potentially top 5 quarterback just a year and a half ago prior to that thumb injury to whatever the hell he is now. It just doesn't make sense.
We were talking about it earlier in the MVP race. What was that? A year and a half ago
2020,
now.
yeah.
He was playing like the best in the league. He was playing like top 2 quarterback. And now he ain't playing like a top 20 quarterback.
I don't know. I mean, he's playing As bad as Nate Hackett has been, he's been just as bad. Russell Wilson has been, if there's like a quarterback to coach equivalent, they're right in the same tier of just complete dumpster fire dog, terrible,
Dog water.
dog water. Performances, they just been bad. There's nothing good about the way Russell Wilson's looked. Nate Hackett making bad decisions left and right. I mean, you probably saw Did you see the Thursday night game?
Which one?
The Broncos Colts game. That awful game. Anyway.
Oh yeah. Oh my God.
On the final play of the game in overtime, Russell Wilson had the ball right outside the red zone. They were going for the win. The Broncos were. He missed KJ Hamler wide open on a rub route right in front of his eyes. And he was just so locked. I mean, it was literally probably here. He was looking all the way over here. He was locked on Cortland Sutton, who had Stephon Gilmore on him the whole time. I don't know why he was testing Stephon Gilmore. I don't know why he tested Stephon Gilmore with a car garage salesman earlier in the game. I don't know who they had running routes out there, but they didn't run the ball. He throws a pick. The Colts go down the field and kick a field goal to tie it. And now they're testing Stephon Gilmore a second time. Nothing about that game made sense. Nothing about the Broncos makes sense. The Seattle Seahawks 100% look like the geniuses right now, and I never thought I'd be saying that.
What's funny is I remember when Russell was drafted, Matt Flynn played for the Packers. He was the backup to Aaron Rodgers. He came in for the last game and threw for something stupid, like 400 yards or something crazy, right? And so the Seahawks paid him a bunch of money. It was like, come be our starting quarterback. It was like, bet. And he went to Seattle. And then he got beat out by Russell Wilson. But Pete Carroll has been the coach the entire time. And Caveman, I know I only get one question. I get two questions, but this is still a part of my one question. I actually got three questions in total for the one question, but it's all Seattle related because Seattle is kind of interesting right now. Do you think that Russell Wilson was just the ultimate system quarterback? Well, Tom Brady was the ultimate system quarterback. But do you think he is, one of the top system quarterbacks in history and not actually like a face of the franchise quarterback?
I really hate to think that way. I don't think it's true. I think it'll take a lot of sucking for that to be my conclusion drawn. Because he was doing stuff that not many quarterbacks in the NFL can do. With some of the plays, he was one of the best at extending plays in the league, getting out of the pocket, making throws that, like I said, not many other quarterbacks can make. I'll never forget I think it was against the Rams. It looked like he was throwing the ball away. He had somebody in his face. He was falling backwards and he lofted it up. I've never seen a better throw. I like that might be one of the best throws I've seen live. He just lofted a ball up, looked like it was going out of the back of the end zone, and he connects with Tyler Lockett, who's full extension, toe tapping, and bringing it in. Only where Tyler Lockett can get it. It was one of the greatest throws, like I said, that I've seen live. So Russell Wilson
rainbow ball too.
Yeah, I mean he's one of the best deep ball throwers that we've seen in the last decade. So I won't go that far, but I don't know what happened to him. I don't, but he's definitely earned the merit that he's gotten up to this point.
That's fair because I don't care what type of system you play in. That doesn't teach you that rainbow ball that drops in a pin every single time. So that's a good point. All right, last question that has to do with the Seattle Seahawks before I get to my second question. So this is my third question before I get to my second question. Okay. Is Jake Jordan going to have to drink dog water?
How many wins was it? How many wins was it?
The Seahawks would not win more than 4 games this year.
It's looking very bad. It's looking very, very, very bad. Mine isn't looking good either. What did I say? I think I said the Vikings.
I got to find ours.
9 wins.
Mine was something. Vikings under 9 wins. Oh, yeah.
8 or 9 wins. That's not looking good either. But, yeah. No, that's – yeah.
I said the Bengals wouldn't make the playoffs, so I'm the only one.
That's looking good.
Yeah.
That's looking good.
Although it's not looking good at the same time because the AFC West sucks, which I didn't anticipate.
Yeah, that's true, too. Very true. But at least they're sucking, so it's not like
yeah. But that means none of them are beating up on the Chiefs like we hoped either.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, what is?
Yeah, well, all right. I guess. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Again, it's only week 5. All right. Pick number 2. Centric for Caveman here today. Do the Eagles actually like? All right, I know it's week 5. We've been hearing a lot. They're 5-0. I get it. I get it. Jalen Hurts is playing like an MVP candidate. They got AJ Brown. They've got this crazy dominant defensive line. I understand. Darius Slay, the whole shebang. Do the Eagles have what it takes to actually make to the Super Bowl coming out of the NFC?
Yeah. I mean, there's no reason for me to say no at this point. They're the only undefeated team in the league. Jalen Hurts playing probably borderline MVP level. I would say he's right outside that conversation. They win every game in the trenches. They are ferocious when it comes to the offensive and defensive fronts. They're extremely tough to play against in there, and that's what makes them as good as they've been. And like you said, Darius Slay's been locked down back there. AJ Brown's been, molding well with Jalen Hurts a lot better than I ever imagined him. Devontae Smith being right beside him is an unstoppable duo. Oh my God, I'm burping. Dallas Goedert as well. He's always been one of the better tight ends. I mean, this is a team built to win from top to bottom. I said it before the season started. They are probably, in my mind, the best, most well-rounded roster in the NFL. Next to the Buffalo Bills, I think they go hand in hand with each other. I think we have more talent, to be fair. But when it comes to being well-rounded, I think they have every single piece nearly figured out. So I don't know why this should be no. I mean, they have shown enough at this point through 5 weeks to be considered a Super Bowl contender.
I would say I agree with you, but there's a trade-off. They have a way better offensive line than we have, but we have a way better quarterback and respectively to Jalen Hurts. Like Jalen Hurts is playing out of his mind, but we have a guy who's proven it. We have a guy who's done it year after year. A guy who has done it at the highest level. Has literally played in AFC Championship games and divisional games, and has the highest quarterback ranking for the playoffs in NFL history. So like we know that he can also perform in the postseason. Jalen Hurts is a little inexperienced, so we have to see about that. But I like it, man. Especially going through the NFC. Tom Brady and the Buccaneers do not look like, they're really focused right now. They look like they're worried about a divorce. The Packers, they ain't got nobody, he ain't got nobody to throw to. And it's funny. We talked about Patrick Mahomes. Is he going to miss Tyreek Hill? He does miss Tyreek Hill. It hasn't necessarily shown in the stats and whatnot, because he's still putting up good numbers, but he only has 2 touchdown passes to wide receivers this year. Is that not alarming to anybody else? Like, it's been Travis Kelce and running backs. So that tells me that cover Travis Kelce and our cornerbacks are good enough to stop those guys. That kind of, I digress. But back to the Eagles in the NFC. I know I just look for any reason to talk trash about the Chiefs. I'm sorry. But back to the NFC. I'm sorry, guys. I keep sniffling. My allergies are really going crazy right now. Like as soon as I sat down, my waterworks was in my eyes. I'm yawning. All right, I'm sorry. Okay, so the NFC, the Packers aren't playing well. The Bucks aren't playing well. The Cowboys they have a great defensive unit. The offense, you ain't really going to say, oh, those guys belong in the Super Bowl. The Rams don't look like they belong anywhere. The 49ers have a good, again, defensive unit, but the offense, it's Deebo Samuel, and that's it, So I have to agree with you, man. I think the Eagles, as of right now, have what it takes to see the Buffalo Bills in the Super Bowl. So, all right, that's all I got for you, man. Simple 2 to 5 questions, no big deal.
All right. Well, I do have a couple questions for you as well. The first one being, does Davante Adams, I'm sure you've seen it all over the internet, deserve to be suspended for his little incident after the game on Monday night? Do you think it's suspension worthy?
He absolutely deserves to be suspended for not getting that third foot in bounds on that catch on 3rd and 1. I mean, bro, you're right there on the sideline. You're the best wide receiver in the NFL. You got the ball in your hands. I personally thought it was a catch. No, I'm kidding. All right. I just really wish they beat the Chiefs, bro. Like it was right there. Oh my God. Anyway, as far as the the push. I mean, bro, listen, man. I'm player friendly because I play football, and I also know that humans are emotional, right? I get it. He is $1 million superstar. This is an entertainment. It's a game and all the other stuff. I get it. I get it. But bro, walk up to a man after he just lost the fight, where he slipped on milk and got told he was knocked out, but he didn't really lose because he could have beat the other guy, but he slipped on some milk. Now everybody's clowning him because he got knocked out and he has milk all over his shirt and pants, right? Walk up to that guy. Like he's gonna be aggressive to it. So I'm not absolving him of his like what he did. He was wrong, 1,000,000%, and that's the end of it. But y'all can't be walking up to these like world-class athletes in the most emotional moments of their like life. Like you can't do that. Like that's why they only interview the winners. And after like the Super Bowl or the NBA Finals or something, they go into the locker rooms and they interview the losers after people have gained their composure and they aren't gonna like spaz out. Like you can't walk up to people in the most emotional, vulnerable moment. You are on national TV. Your team just lost the game that was handed to you. Like I get that he's upset, and I don't know, man. I feel bad for him because I mean he could have prevented it, so I don't feel too bad for him. But at the same time, don't put a camera in my face. Like, are you kidding me right now? So does he deserve to be suspended? I mean, apparently he got charged. So I mean, if you're getting charged, then I mean that's at least worth the suspension. So ethically, yes, he deserves to get suspended. More like as far as I feel with football players, like, look, if you want to take the chance and you want to be a soundproof and a camera guy and all this other stuff, and you want to get into faces and the perimeter of the most emotional, strongest, fastest men you've ever seen in your life. Look, I'm just saying sometimes some consequences might come with that. That's all I'm saying. Just as an emotional being, I know how I feel when the Bills lose and I'm not even on a team. You know what I mean? So like, I get it, man. I get it.
Yeah, no, I'm thinking to myself like, I understand he's upset. It's the heat of the moment, but as you mentioned, it doesn't absolve him of any blame.
Not at all.
He did get charged with a misdemeanor assault charge.
And he will lose
Which
a hefty amount of money as well because
which
he's
was
going to get
honestly,
sued by that young man. He deserves it too.
yeah, I mean, he's, I would probably sue Devontae too if I were
Me
that guy.
too.
That's a lot of money that he could probably end up with. And Devontae's probably going to say, I don't care, pay him whatever I have to so I can get rid of this. So, good on him, honestly. But, if they suspend him, I think that'll be a little egregious. We had Aaron Donald prior to the season, swinging dual-wielded helmets at other players in the league at a joint practice. I mean, he's like, these are weapons he's chucking. He's probably the strongest dude in the league, and he's launching for heads with helmets. I mean, that could probably be, if it wasn't at an NFL practice, a legit assault charge, jail time assault charge, if this was like the equivalent to like a street fight or something like that. So, if they're not going to take any legal action with that, I can't imagine that Devontae Adams is going to get suspended here. And who knows? Who knows? We know how the NFL is with their inability to be consistent with their punishments. We had that conversation 100 gazillion times this offseason. This is another instance. Who knows how they'll handle it, but I wouldn't be shocked if it was probably the wrong way.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to see him suspended because I feel like he got enough punishment by having to take that loss to a division rival.
Yeah.
You left maybe the most talented quarterback who's ever walked the face of the planet to go play with a 1-4 team now. It's like he's been punished enough. So yeah. All right. What else you got for me, bro?
All right. My second question was somebody in relation to Devontae Adams, if you want it to be. Who do you think's been the best wide receiver through 5 weeks up to this point?
I'm biased, but I mean, it's been Stephon Diggs. I mean, the guy has been everywhere. He's doing anything he wants to. Okay, week after week, people say, "Oh, he's going to face this quarterback. Oh, he's going to face Jalen Ramsey." He left Jalen Ramsey on his face. But there is a meme, or I'm going to make it a meme, of Jalen Ramsey saying, "We got our ass beat." I'm like, yo, that exists. That is real life. That's on the internet. You can find that. He said, "We got our ass beat." That's real. And Stephon Diggs did that to him. He made that grown. That is one of the most proud men I've ever seen in my life. He had the balls, the gall, the audacity to call another grown man who he had never met or seen play in person trash. And obviously he was extremely wrong, but to have the confidence to say another person is trash in Vanity Fair magazine, like, that's a proud MFer, right? And he is in real life, like, you know what I mean? So Stephon Diggs does this on a weekly basis. He makes people feel horrible about themselves, so I'm gonna say Stephon Diggs. Like, I get it, it's Josh Allen, but Stephon Diggs be out there wide open, dog. Like, in the Pittsburgh game, he made Levi Wallace look so bad, bro. He literally hit him with the whoop, 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 came right back out. Levi was on the ground 4 yards away. Josh Allen, he put too much on it and it fell incomplete. But like, Stephon Diggs is walking back to the huddle and Levi Wallace is in the end zone trying to fix his cleat. Like, it's bad, yo. He makes people look very, very stupid on a regular basis. Cooper Kupp is probably the most, like, efficient in a sense where he's probably the most reliable. I'll put it that way. He's the most reliable because Matt Stafford abuses the hell out of him. If Matt Stafford is dropping back to pass, his first read is Cooper Kupp. And if he sees any opening, he's going to throw him the ball, which is fine. I would too if I had Cooper Kupp on my team. I don't know how the Vikings ever lost the game with Randy Moss. I would just throw it up to him the entire game and say, go stop him, So Cooper Kupp is like that for Matt Stafford. You got guys like Jamar Chase, who I think is number 2. Absolutely incredible. And y'all can tell I'm not a Bengals hater, okay? I recognize what they did. They got to Super Bowl. Great job. I love y'all for beating the Chiefs and not letting them go get another one, okay? But it wasn't Joe Burrow. I'm just saying he's not a top 5 quarterback. Stop telling me that crap, all right? It's Jamar Chase. That guy's good, okay? He's number 2. I got Justin Jefferson at number 3. That guy's good, all right? Maybe the most fair trade in NFL history, Stephon Diggs for what turned out to be Justin Jefferson. I love it for both sides. I don't necessarily think Justin Jefferson would have worked. I mean, he would have worked, but I don't think it would have been as good as like a Stephon Diggs is right now. So I think it's fair for both sides. But I'm sorry, long way to say, I think the best wide receiver in the league is Stephon Diggs. Devontae Adams is really, really talented, but again, I think it's just because he had Aaron Rodgers, who had uber confidence in him. Aaron Rodgers is not running for 700 yards a season. Aaron Rodgers is also not going to trust a lot of people outside of Devontae Adams. Josh don't give a damn who's on the field. If you open, you're going to get the football. So I'm going to go with Stephon Diggs.
Fair enough. He's absolutely worthy of being in the conversation, right? I think there's a plethora. There's a handful of guys that you could probably put at number 1, and there is rightful reason to be having him there. I would say the guys in that conversation would probably be Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs, Cooper Kupp, Tyreek Hill, Devontae Adams, and Justin Jefferson. I think those are the top 5 right now, and I find it very hard to try and put anyone else in there. So
you said Cooper Kupp, Tyreek Hill, Jamar Chase, Josh Allen, and
Jamar Chase. I didn't say Josh Allen. No,
yeah, Stephon Diggs.
No, I said
Go ahead.
Diggs, Jefferson, Kupp, Tyreek, and Diggs, Jefferson, Kupp, Tyreek, and Adams. And Adams was the other one. Those would be my 5. I don't know what the order exactly would be, but those would be my 5 right now, and I don't think there really should be arguing for anyone else.
I think Jamar Chase is better than Cooper Kupp, but I understand why you put him there.
I don't know about that.
No. I fear that people misunderstood what I said. Okay. I didn't say like Cooper Kupp is him. Don't get me wrong. I think he is extremely talented. For the life of me, I can't figure out how him and Travis Kelce continue to be open on every single play. It's like you would think defenses would be like, "Hey, that guy who catches everything, how about we cover him?" Right? He's open every single play. But I think Jamar Chase is a better wide receiver right now in the sense that he's faster, stronger, bigger, jumps higher, better athlete, better route runner. I think it's just it's the usage rate with Cooper Cup that's just like it's so massive that his numbers are gaudy and it makes him look like a great wide receiver because he is a great wide receiver. But I don't think his talent level is as high as those other guys. Let's put it that way.
Fair enough. I mean, I just like you mentioned, I don't understand how he's always open.
Me neither.
Always.
I have no clue. I don't know,
is,
like, if he's invisible on the field or what. I'm sorry. I don't mean to keep cutting you
No,
off,
you're
bro.
good. It's just this guy is like the definition of unstoppable. He is force-fed the football. Almost every play, everybody knows Matthew Stafford's first read is Cooper Kupp. It doesn't matter how many guys are on him. It would require two guys to stand in front of Cooper Kupp for Matthew Stafford to at least, like, look away. I mean, he might even still throw it.
Yeah, I was about to say, he still might try to thread the needle.
I know. I mean, like, Matthew Stafford will do whatever he can to get this guy the ball, and he's typically successful. And he hasn't even been playing well this season, Matthew Stafford. I mean, he has not looked great. And the thing that is so mind-baffling to me is he's got no other wide receiver running next to him that poses any threat to any defense at the moment. The offensive line has been dog. There's been absolutely no run game to show for it. And the quarterback play has not been great either. And Cooper Kupp is still dominating. It's like, who are these defenses worried about? Van Jefferson isn't even playing right now, and he's typically their deep down the field, field stretcher, the one that makes them respect the deep ball. He's not even playing, and Cooper Kupp still getting wide open.
Allen Robinson, so I don't.
I know exactly. Allen Robinson's been a complete dud. They're using him in the complete wrong fashion because they don't. I don't even think they care anymore. There's, Cooper Kupp's out there. We'll move the ball. Who cares anymore? I have to respect it. Like you said, I mean, I understand the point of view of when it comes to an individual traits perspective, Cooper Kupp just doesn't stack up. But the production, it's
nuts. He is the most productive wide receiver, maybe of this generation.
Yeah, and it doesn't make. I mean, it's not like he's playing.
That don't even feel like hyperbole to me. He really is the most productive wide receiver of this generation.
It makes me like confused and excited and just it breaks my brain. It breaks my brain.
It's cool. It's one of those things. It's cool that he's in the NFC so that you can root for him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for real. Because I would be so frustrated if I was a team that struggled, let's say, and we were playing against the Rams. Obviously, our defense is superior, and we saw what happened against the Rams. Not that we slowed Cooper Kupp down. Honestly, I think he probably had at least 80 yards. I know he had a touchdown, so Cooper Kupp still had a day, but. If we were a team in a close game with the Rams and I see Cooper Kupp running rampant, I would be losing my shit because it's the only way they move the ball, man. It really is remarkable.
It absolutely is. All right. Before we get up out of here, we're going to get into a little bit of buy and sell. Brought to you guys by, is it what, Raft Masters? Raft Masters? Yeah, I'm forgetting who our sponsors are. No, I don't. I don't do that. I'm joking, I'm just playing. Buy and sell brought to you by Red Masters. And we're going to start off with, we didn't talk about the NFC today. We're going to do that next Wednesday. Hey, man, look, man, the NFC North. All right. It's looking a little funny. I mean, the Lions haven't won a ton of games, but up until last week, they were the highest scoring team in the NFL. The Packers. I mean, they got Aaron Rodgers, and they went toe to toe with the Patriots, and the Patriots just zipped the Lions. So maybe the Patriots are better than we thought, right? And then they lost to the Giants, but the Giants have a good record, so maybe they're better than we thought. We don't know about the Packers. We don't know about the Bears. We'll see. Buy or sell that the Vikings are going to win that division.
I think I'm selling it. I think the Packers come back I think the Vikings, I think their luck runs out. They're a 4-1 team, but not by much. They're a 4-1 team. It nearly blew a 17 point or 19 point lead, 18 point. I can't do math. 18-point lead to the Bears. I mean, there was another game in which they barely squeaked away with it. I'm having a hard time remembering things lately, but the Vikings don't have 4 convincing victories, if I'm being honest. And their one loss, they collapsed in embarrassing fashion against the Eagles on Monday or Sunday Night Football. I don't recall, but they don't have 4 convincing wins to me. And although the Packers are looking terrible, especially after that loss to the Giants, so they're not doing themselves any favors. I'm going to say the Vikings fizzle out. Their luck runs out, and the Packers end up taking. So I'm selling.
All right. I just real quick before we move on to the next buyer sell. Who has the better wide receivers?
Between who?
Between the Vikings and the Packers.
Well, the Vikings, of course.
Who's the better running backs?
I mean, I guess the Packers, but the Vikings are close. Are close there, I would say.
I actually like Dalvin Cook more than I like Aaron Jones, to be honest.
Yeah.
I feel like because Aaron Rodgers is so devoid of weapons right now, I feel like their defenses are kind of similar. Nothing super special, but can get the job done at the same time, right? Kirk Cousins isn't that bad. I'd say Kirk Cousins is like,
don't get me started,
top 20.
Don't get me started. Top 20? Yeah, I mean, I hope he's top 20.
You know what I mean? So if you can force feed Adam Thielen and Justin Jefferson the football, you can turn around and give the ball to Dalvin Cook. You don't think they might be able to, go?
That's been the narrative for how many years now? I mean, granted, Justin Jefferson, this is third year, actually. How many times can we say this? Oh, one of the best offensive casts in football. They got to be good. Their defense is going to be halfway decent this year. They acquire a great defensive specialist. I mean, this year it's Darius Smith. Last year it's Patrick Peterson. Who's next? Who else are they going to bring in to help that defense? That offense is still somehow inconsistent. Kirk Cousins, don't get me started. They will fizzle out.
Don't get me started on Kirk Cousins.
I'm banking on it. I'm banking on the fact that this team fizzles out. Sell.
You know what? I respect that because that is a great argument. You could have been said this. They've had this forever. Even back when they had Stephon Diggs, they had this.
I know.
They weren't able to do anything with it until they had Case Keenum. So, all right. Buy or sell. Breece Hall has been the best rookie running back in the NFL so far.
This is a tough one for me. I think it's only between 2 guys. It's between Breece Hall and Dameon Pierce. I think it's one of those things where Dameon Pierce has been the better pure running back, but Breece Hall has been the better overall back. So I guess it depends what you value. Almost similar to like the old conversation of McCaffrey or Henry, which kind of running back would you prefer? Who is actually the best? And I always took the side of McCaffrey because I think versatility, being able to help your teams in more ways than one, is more valuable than a one-dimensional back. Although that one dimension is pretty damn hard to stop. But so I'm going to go with probably Breece Hall just for that fact. But Dameon Pierce has looked fierce. Pierce is fierce, and I don't know if you saw that run he had against the Jags, but my God, that was the closest thing we've seen to beast mode. I almost wish that was my play. That was the closest thing we've seen to beast mode since Marshawn Lynch. Did you see it?
I did it, but I got you. All right, but I'm going to first ask you this next buy or sell, right? Buy or sell. Dak Prescott returns to the Cowboys, and there is no quarterback controversy in Dallas.
There is. Okay, so he comes back. Okay, bye. Yeah, I don't think. I think Dak Prescott, the whole quarterback controversy thing, it's a fun thing to talk about. It's a good conversation to have, but at the end of the day, Dak Prescott over the last 2 seasons has been leading one of the best offenses in the NFL. Last year, they were the top scoring offense in the league. They had a massive blunder, in the first week of the postseason. That doesn't change the fact that they were the highest scoring offense in the NFL. A lot to do with Dak Prescott. The year before that, Dak Prescott was on pace to lead the highest scoring offense in football until he broke his ankle. So the Dallas Cowboys have been, offensively a juggernaut for the last 2 years. This season, I think they'll go back to that once Dak returns, and now they have a defense to play alongside them. So I'm a little bit more on the Dallas Cowboys train than I have been in the past. And once Dak Prescott comes back, there won't be any quarterback controversy, and I can easily see them, becoming one of the best teams in the NFL, assuming their defense continues playing at the rate they've been.
All right, fair enough. Then let me ask you this: buy or sell Cooper Rush, will have an opportunity to be a starter come next season or whenever his contract expires with the Cowboys.
I'll buy that. I think he's working his way to being one of those bridge guys. He's working his way to being a quarterback that a lot of people have faith in and have a lot of reason to be optimistic if he's going to be their starter. And then for some reason, he just sucks. I mean, I find it very odd that these quarterbacks that are good in situations when you didn't expect them to, or they step in when they weren't supposed to, and they're able to play well under unexpected circumstances, and then they get an opportunity somewhere else where they're, they have an entire offseason preparing as the starter, ready to step in with a new offense to get things going, and they just suck. And they're just not able to kind of pick up with that same type of magic. Nick Foles, I feel like, is an example of that. I think who else has gotten an opportunity? Nick Foles comes to mind immediately. Carson Wentz, I would say, kind of fits that mold, although it was a slightly different situation. But, I feel like Cooper Rush will definitely work his way to a potential chance, but I wouldn't say he's going to be like a bona fide, for sure starter, going to win over a job, get a big paycheck. He'll be a bridge guy that I think a team that's trying to rebuild could bring in.
Kind of like that Carson Palmer type of thing that who's the other guy I'm thinking of? Case Keenum, where he wasn't the starter, but then he got an opportunity, performed well, got an opportunity to start and didn't perform well. And all right, that's neither here nor there. All right, final buy or sell before we get into this crazy ass Dameon Pierce run, because I saw it and that's actually nuts. Like, they should be embarrassing themselves for not being able to get him down. All right. What was I about to say? Buy or sell that this is a good one. Buy or sell. This is the GOAT's final season of football.
Man, I'm gonna say buy. It's just not. Well, see, the thing is, if this divorce is actually happening, I mean, obviously he's got more than just his wife and his family, but then he won't have the problem of having to necessarily go home, or at least feel like he has to as much.
Fair enough.
Without being in said relationship. So, man, I guess I don't know the logistics on the divorce. As far as I know, it's a real thing and they're going through with it. But for some reason, that maybe is a lie. Maybe they're just debating it and they just hired lawyers to explore their options. I don't know. Yeah. But, there are many ways this can go. If for some reason, it just depends on how Tom Brady looks at the situation if the divorce ends up happening. I think if he's still in a relationship by the end of the season, he'll be done. If he's out of it, I think it's completely up in the air, honestly. So it's very dependent on the divorce right now. But I'm going to buy it at the moment because it seems like things aren't going too well. And he doesn't like to lose. He's old. Yeah. He's probably reaching the end of his rope.
Yeah, fair enough. All right. I like that answer and I agree with it because, if anybody who's been in a long-term relationship knows that, sometimes people put down ultimatums that they don't really necessarily mean, or, you try to do things to get things to in your favor, with your partner. And we'll see if this lasts or whatever the case may be. But all right, guys, K-Man was telling y'all about this crazy ass run, and it is a crazy ass run. So check this out.
Against the Colts in Houston. Can they get one here in Jacksonville? Pierce breaking tackles. Pierce still on his feet. And they finally bring him down. Beastly running from Pierce.
Spiro, how fun was that to watch? Gotta love watching the rookie just get this ball and not be denied. There's the contact right at the line of scrimmage, running through tackles. There's another one. Get off me. There's another one. You can't bring me down.
Oh my.
Crazy.
Dude, what the? Did you see the fans? Like, what was that fan wearing with the?
I mean, we should probably watch it again to see what the fans are wearing, right?
The Colts in Houston. Can they get one here in Jacksonville? Pierce breaking tackles. Pierce still on his feet, and they finally bring him down. Beastly running from Pierce.
Spiro, how fun was that to watch? Gotta love watching the rookie just get this ball and not be denied. There's the contact right at the line of scrimmage, running through tackles. There's another one. Get off me. There's another one. You can't bring me down.
So it looked like he had a towel over his head and then glasses over the towel.
And then he secured the towel at the side.
Only something that happens in Duval, right? Yeah. Hey guys, it started a little rough. I'm sorry, guys. I wasn't feeling great. The allergies kicked my ass at the beginning, but we got to it, and I feel like it ended up being a pretty good show. So, thank you guys for joining us. Did you have anything else you wanted to discuss, K-Man?
No, I think I'm just glad that we were able to start a little bit earlier. I had more energy in an earlier hour, so I'm glad that we were able to start it earlier. I guess I'll end on that note, but it was definitely a good one.
I want to talk to you even about that a little bit after the show, so stick around for a bit. But thank you guys for joining us tonight and for being involved in the comment section and hanging out with us and chilling with us and talking to us and liking and commenting and sharing and reposting and retweeting. Because you guys know we appreciate all that, because we appreciate you guys and all the love and support you guys bring. So thank you for supporting us, and remember that this is the official network. This is the official network of the original Bills Mafia. And we are out.